Yesterday we listened to the Seriwa Jataka's story. The greedy peddler pretended not to get the golden bowl. He did not get immediately, and he threw the bowl to the floor. So he had to suffer. But our Bodhisattva, the wise peddler, was honest, immediately got the bowl, so he obtained that golden bowl. From that, we have to learn about precious gem and golden opportunity. We all are here now. At this present time, every yogi can reap the benefits of the truth of the Dhamma, our golden opportunity. It is because after taking this great opportunity, if the essence can be extracted out of it, we can surely achieve the most precious Dhamma. In any case, this great and rare opportunity will not be always available simply because our life is likely to come to an end within a short period of time. Even though the full lifespan may not be exhausted, we don't know when we are going to die. Even if death does not take place, we may not to practice meditation effectively according to our own will and desire. When we become old or when we are stricken with some illness, or when we are troubled with any kinds of danger or annoyance, or because of any other unforeseen circumstances, at the time we are unable to practice meditation. So we have to realize the Dhamma, we have to reap the benefits of the truth of the Dhamma. What are the truth of the Dhamma? We have to know the characteristics of impermanence thoroughly. And yogi have to understand the characteristics of Dukka and Anatta. So, Hotwa Abhava Karo Anicca, not being in existence at first there is nothing there. It comes into being, and then it ceases to exist. It disappears, it dissolves away. These are the characteristics of impermanence. These are the truth of the Dhamma. The flash of lightning in the sky, you see, it does not exist before. Then it comes into signified by a flash, but it does not last long. It disappears instantly. The phenomena of lightning provides all the characteristics of impermanence. Whatever arises afresh, disappears soon, is said to have the characteristic of impermanence. Yogi come here to discover the truth of the Dhamma. What is Dhamma? And yogi understand what is Dhamma. So we mentioned that Dhamma means you have to observe the rising and falling of the abdomen, sitting, touching, standing, walking, stretching, bending. Continuously, it is to discover the Dhamma. So yogi take notes of the actions of rising attentively, and he perceives the phenomenon of extension, pressure, emotion in the abdomen quite clearly. The phenomena of extension, pressure and motion was non-existent before. it becomes manifested just as the abdomen begins to take a rise. Then there is the rising of the phenomena, is becoming. The beginning of the phenomena is the rising of the abdomen, which comes under observation. And when the rising comes to an end, now yogi see clearly there is no more extension, no more pressure, no more motion in the abdomen. They are said to terminate, they are said to disappear, they are said to pass away. So now yogi can discover the truth of the Dhamma. So we have to encourage again, just keeps on noting, we discover the Dhamma. So yogi keeps on noting, smelling, touching, etc. And then yogi see things arising and ceasing to exist. Only when he has acquired this personal knowledge of the characteristics of impermanence is the true knowledge of Anicca Nupassana Jnana developed in you. While noting the object, you see dissolution. Then you know that it is impermanent, sure. So that this knowledge is the Anicca Nupassana Jnana. A yogi have to discover another truth, that is Dukkha, suffering. There are two kinds of Dukkha, suffering or unsatisfactoriness. The first kind relates to unbearable pain. You have toothache, numbness, backache, piercing pain, tingly pain. That is the first kind of Dukkha. The second kind is Dukkha because it is terrible, objectionable, it is disgusting and repulsive. The impermanence because of incessant arising and vanishing. So that kind of Dukkha is not of the painful kinds of suffering. It is the second kind of suffering. So the commentary mentioned that it is suffering because it is terrible, the phenomenon of continuous arising and perishing is terrible. It is fearsome. It is not good. You always say life is suffering, everything is suffering. You always say it is Dukkha. Why it is not good? Because it is ever rising and perishing. It is impermanent. So it is Dukkha. It is terrible. How about your business? Very good. How about your health? Very fine. People imagine it to be well, fine, good, because it appears to be enduring, it appears to be stable. But when you discover the Dhamma, you realize that it does not endure even a second, and it is constantly dissolving. You can no longer see any happiness, any goodness in life. We depend for our existence on the aggregates which are in dissolution all the time. If at any moment the aggregates are not renewed, what happened? So when my mother was in hospital, they called me to your mother, so I have to go to see my mother. My mother is dying, in, out, stay breathing. And then the body start to shake because it needs to die. And then the new aggregates in that process not renewed, and then she died. So at any moment the new aggregates are not renewed, he die, which is terrible things to know. It is just like living in an old dilapidated building, liable to collapse at any time. In the case of such building, there is the possibility that it may last for days, it may last for months, or even years before coming down, whereas you look at your mind and matter constantly, the nama rupa aggregates inside our body cannot endure even for a second. They are undergoing dissolution all the time and therefore more terrible. So it is termed Dukka, suffering. So we have to realize, we have to discover nama rupa, psychophysical process in our body are objectionable, independable, unreliable, not good at all. What are the characteristics of Dukka according to the commentary Abhina Sampati Pilanakara Dukka Lakkhana? In sense, unceasing oppression is the characteristic mark of Dukka. Here, unceasing oppression means arising and passing away continuously of aggregates of psychophysical process. So all the aggregates of mind and matter, which are subject to constant arising and perishing, are regarded as Dukka, things which are not good. You have to understand oppression by insensate origination is a characteristic mark of Dukka. You try very hard, so wisdom come out. You practice diligently, and then you see the signs of Dukka by your personal experience, and you realize them to be terrible suffering, not good, objectionable, not dependable. All the mind and matter you see. Yes, true, it is Dukkhanupassana jnana, because you see the rising and passing away while you are noting, and you know it to Dukkha. It is Dukkhanupassana jnana. It is knowledge. Yes, you are noting constantly the phenomena of mentality and materiality. Start to note the rising and falling of the abdomen because it is in the center. Rising and falling, and calmly note. And if you note very precisely, continuously and precisely, and you see clearly the origination, dissolution taking place incessantly. And also the same, you note every instance of touching, hearing, seeing, and you see clearly the origination and whatever you observe, dissolve, and you begin to see the aggregates of mind and matter being oppressed by process of origination. There is possibility of death at any moment, so the oppression is seen as a terrible Dukkha. Dukkhanupassana jnana, it is knowledge. If we cannot discover the truth of Dhamma, or if we do not practice meditation, there can be three forms of grasping or clinging. That is mind. So that is the clinging with craving, itamama in Pali. Esohamasami, this I am. So that is craving with conceit. Esomeata, this is myself. That clinging with wrong view. So when the person has taken delight in an object with craving, even if the object does not belong to that person, it is grasped with craving as if it is his own. So when we go to the bazaar, we see delightful objects, we take delight in them as if we already own them. We grasp at everything, animate or inanimate, as if one's own, fancy them, do not practice. So it is important to understand the truth of the Dhamma, so we practice. When we practice, the process in us are constantly originate, dissolving phenomena of arising and dissolution as they really are. We would be frightened, just like having dilapidated building. Even though feeling well now, all right at the present moment, a change for the worse, depending on condition and circumstances. So once you realize that It is not enduring even for a moment, always changing, and therefore terrible suffering. How could we take delight in this process? With great pleasure, as your life partner, someone is going to become patient within hours or days, or going to die very soon. No, we would not take delight in such course of action if we really know that it's about to happen. So in the same way, yogi see the unceasing process of origination and dissolution of the aggregates. He finds only terrible suffering in them, and when he finds them in this, yogi has no desire to grasp his rupa, to grasp his materiality as this is mine. No desire to grasp in this. If we do not practice meditation, we may consider our body as this I am, with conceit. When we have good eyes, good etc., and we can hear very well, and then we begin to take pride in them. I have good eyes, I have good ears, I look beautiful, I have a pleasant voice, I am very well, I am strong. Conceit. Conceit is developed with regard to our possession when there is misconception that they are enduring, they are permanent. So the material qualities of eyes, ears, visible forms are wrongly held to be permanent, and consequently vanity, conceit is built around them. Take for instance of the case of the person. A person has properties, wealth, gold, silver, etc. hidden in a certain place. That owner is full of pride over his wealth, over his property. I have a lot of gold, I have a lot of silver, I have a lot of properties. But when he knows that gold or property has been robbed, and he no longer owns any rich property, the bubble of his conceit gone. So the bubble of his pride gets burst. Yesterday's story, you understand, the wise peddler, our bodhisattva, had taken away the golden bowl, but the greedy peddler thought that the golden bowl was still existing. The golden bowl was existing. It is seemingly to exist, but that golden bowl was no more there. It was already taken away by wise peddler. So everything seemingly to exist for long, but everything does not endure even a second. If you understand, if you discover that truth, there is no conceit, no mana. So if we do not practice meditation, if we cannot discover the truth of Dharma at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, the material qualities of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body becomes manifest, and we think that they are stay in existence. So when we think they are stay in existence, then mana, conceit is developed. But we have to discover the Dharma, the truth of the Dharma. We need to practice meditation. So you always taking note whatever phenomena arises, and you know that they all vanish after they have arisen. And then you have no mana, you have no pride. You have no pride as I have good eyes, I am beautiful, etc. Have no idea, because you discover the Dhamma. So there is conceit, there is mana when things are conceived as permanent. When you know that they are impermanent, there is no mana. So when the person does not discover the truth, he holds on to this wrong belief. This is myself, clean with wrong view. So this wrong view is held fast when there is belief that the materiality in one's person everlasting and amenable to one's control. But you practice and you discover the Dhamma, then knowledge arises. It is unstable, it is rising and vanishing all the time, and suffering because it is unenduring and subject to change. No more ground to cling to materiality as self, as a living entity. So when you know that materiality cannot be controlled, there is nothing for the yogi to accept. So now understand the Dhamma by practicing. Phenomena is impermanent, it is suffering, it is subject to change, it is not proper. Regard that rupa as this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Discover the Dhamma, practice metaphysics of the Dhamma. You can get rid of dana, mana, conceit, deity, wrong view when you discover the Dhamma. To end our discourse for today, in this time, by practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the scene meticulously, may you all practitioners discover the truth of the Dhamma